please understand very specifically with respect to SA 315, with respect to SA 230, with respect to SA 500. 230 is audit documentation. We have already gone through it. SA 500 is the next one, which is audit evidence. And SA 315 is understanding the entity through the environment, to understanding the entity and its environment. When you are trying to understand the entity and its environment, naturally, if there is an accounting software involved, if there is a reporting software involved, if there is a tax software involved, you need to understand that software as well. That is very natural. And there have been instances where, in my personal experience, we have gone to a few places, one particular client place. The client, we had requested the client to explain how this software works. And the client got pretty wild because he was like, I explained this so many times to your seniors. You should learn from them and come. Why are you coming to the audit like this? And all they started. So basically, even if the software is new to you or something, you need to first work on understanding the software. Otherwise, how will you get out the trial balance? How will you get to work on the ledgers? How will you extract the reports? This becomes a challenge. So the very first thing is for you to understand that software. How does it work? What are the controls that we have as an auditor? What are the things that we can do? A lot of reporting is always made easy because of access to the software. There are many observations I've seen which manually were not possible, but because of the software, you could do it. For example, when you have a manual accounting, it's not practical to check who is making the highest sale, what is happening to them and all. But I remember seeing one particular instance where my senior had given this analysis where he has done a very interesting analysis as to what is the sales highest seller for that particular period for a given year. Let's say he has taken last 10 years data, and who is the highest top 3 sellers for that period. He will take those data and then he will map from the next year what is the legal case issues that were faced in the subsequent year, collection issues that were faced in the subsequent year. And this particular entity has always been relying on one single customer throughout the year. So they will catch hold of one big customer and they will try to sell everything to the same customer. Almost 60 to 70% of their annual sales used to be to single customer. This is how the GM has been managing from the start. And naturally, this has always been a problem because almost always that major customer used to go bankrupt or used to do some sort of defaulting, some issue used to happen. So for the last 10 years, whatever they have been selling has always been affected by collection issues because they were always focusing on only one big major customer. So this was something the management was not aware. So when they saw this analysis, that is when it really struck them. Yeah, every year we are hearing the same thing about legal cases pending, a majority pending. So then they had to reconsider. They gave target deadlines to the general manager to perform. And unfortunately, since the last 10 years, he got used to one pattern and he couldn't change that pattern immediately. So he had to be terminated because he has been doing the same thing for his own benefit. He has been doing the same thing and same thing and same thing since the last 10 years. He was taking away his bonuses, but he was not performing for the organization. He was there only for the money. So, and it was kind of clear. So, this kind of analysis was technically not possible when you are looking at a manual, accounts. Because for when you're looking at a manual set of data, auditing for one single year itself is a very big difficult task. Imagine a company like a FMCG, where just imagine Big Bazaar or Flipkart, Amazon. The number of sales they do on a single day is crazy, is really crazy. Just imagine if you had to do a statutory audit for them or an internal audit for them for one full year. Just imagine the number of pages the sales ledger will run into. How will you take the samples? It's practically like a nightmare if you had no automation or if you had no IT in place, isn't it? So having this IT in place makes things very easy. You can go all the way across to the starting of the company, and you can even do the projections for the numbers. You can do a lot of analysis because there is a software in place. Which software are we talking about? It could be as simple as an Excel, or it could even be the accounting software, tax software. It could be the IT systems inside that organization. It could be the way the users have been given access to the data in the organization, whatever it is. If there is a computer involved, it becomes a IT process, isn't it? For us, at least, it becomes an IT process. So this chapter is particularly trying to focus on three things. One is SA 315. When you are trying to understand the entity, please understanding the entity and its environment. Abdina, there is an IT environment also inside the organization. So when you have the IT part, you also need to include the IT part in your analysis. And for example, the accounting reports these days, the TB that is generated, everything, say, let's take a example of Tally. Everything is coming from Tally. So when you're getting all the reports from Tally, first thing you need to ensure is whether Tally software is good or not. Whether you can rely on the data that is coming out of the Tally or not. Whether you can work on this data and generate meaningful and useful information or not. Whether there are proper controls in Tally that have been described or not. Who is posting, who is reviewing, who is approving, who gets to create the accounts, who gets to modify the accounts, who gets to close the books. All of this analysis needs to be made upfront so that you are comfortable that the books of account that have been given to you for audit is proper. If you remember, I was telling about one case where the books of account, raw duplicate books of account were given to the auditor. When auditor itself is unaware that the books are duplicate, it is a big issue, isn't it? So in order to avoid this, you try to understand or identify and assess the risks of material misstatement surrounding the IT software itself, the very source itself. At least let us think of, let us say you're doing an organization, you're doing audit in a small scale organization. They are using Tally. Now, from one perspective, you can say that Tally is an established software in the market. So you can say that whatever is data inside the Tally will be accurate and you can rely on it under the one or understanding irakalam. But the fact is, Tally as a software might be good, but it is the end user who matters. When a end user posts a wrong accounting entry, Tally will not correct that person because it is still debit credit for the tally. As long as debit credit is there, Tally will not say anything. Tally will not be in a position to analyze whether this is right or not. It will only see whether the logic is matching. Some logic has been defined for Tally. As long as you post something as per that logic, it will always take that entry, isn't it? There are very few places where it will restrict you. Okay. When you're taking a bank voucher, it will not let you, when you're taking a bank payment voucher, it will not let you debit the bank. Or when you're taking a bank receipt voucher, it will not let you credit the bank. These things are there. But there are very few restrictions with respect to accounting entries that you can have in Tally. So even though the software as a whole is good, what you need to understand is the end user good enough? That is one aspect. There are one is the software aspect, one is the end user aspect. Now, Tally is not something that is used everywhere. There are many in-house applications used by companies across the world. Many of the companies, they try to develop an in-house software because one of the major challenges is integrating the operations and accounting. If you remember, I was showing you the manual, fixed assets manual, few days ago. That particular company, the software that they have developed for themselves, I really admire that software because it is practically like Excel. It works and looks like Excel. It is almost, if any one of you got to work with Microsoft Dynamics, you will understand what I'm talking about. Microsoft Dynamics is a robust software. It can be included for operations as well as accounts, everything. And it practically works like Excel. Everything is line items, everything is tables, everything feels like Excel itself. It's just data entry forms everywhere. And it makes life very easy. Okay. And even this company, the software that they have developed is very similar to the Excel format. And the moment you open it, you become very comfortable with it because it feels like just using Excel only. There is no deviation from the it's very user friendly interface, and the way you use it, everything is clear, crystal clear. So even the controls inside that software have been so robustly defined. It is, I felt it was much better than many of the major market players. So this, having such a good software in place, really has an impact on the outcome of the financial statements. There are many areas I have seen where the issues will come with respect to rounding of the numbers. The software will not recognize the decimals properly. The software will not recognize the credits or debits properly. The software will not let you access previous year trial balances. The once the books are closed, you cannot access the previous year trial balance. So again, that is an issue because they will download the TB after finalizing the books of in books, everything. They will download one TB. That is the only source for you to do the audit. When it is a downloaded TB, it is in Excel. They can do any modification they want with that Excel, isn't it? So this particular software I have seen, you cannot access previous year TB. All these things are a risk factor when you are trying to go for that